A young man, Keyaru, hears a voice inside his head directing him to a star spirit, who grants him the halcyon power to see all creation. In a previous life, Keyaru was a healing magician for the tyrannical kingdom Keyaru, but his power forced him to endure the painful memories of those he healed. He was captured, abused, and forced to heal his captors in battle. In secret, he grew stronger, absorbing the experiences of his abusers and learned to use healing magic in unconventional ways. Eventually, he escaped, defeated a demon lord, and used her Philosopher's Stone to travel back in time for years in the past with the intention to get revenge on his abusers and bring down Keyaru. With his past memories gained despite being warned that he could lose them, Keyaru swears revenge on his main abuser, Princess Flare of the Keyaru Kingdom. Flare, who has no memory of these events, senses his awakening and declares him the recovery hero. He is brought to the kingdom where they meet Praum, Flare's father and the king of Keyaru. Deciding not to blow his cover until Praum is gone due to how powerful he is, Keyaru takes advantage of the maids in the royal household who have sex with him. Keyaru regenerates the amputated arm of grateful swordswoman Kureha, but pretends to pass out. Flare callously orders the court magician to gain control of Keyaru, no matter how torturous the method. Confirming Flare is still as cruel as she was previously, Keyaru begins planning his revenge. Pretending to be afraid of absorbing painful memories, Keyaru swears never to heal again and pretends to allow Flare to imprison and get him addicted to drugs, even allowing himself to be raped to further fool her. Flare begins forcing Keyaru to heal injured warriors, while Keyaru secretly copies magical abilities from them. When Praum is absent and Keyaru becomes immune to drugs, he uses his stolen abilities to escape and disguise himself as Leonard, Flare's imperial commander, having subdued the real Leonard and altered his face to resemble his own so that he gets captured and thrown into the dungeon in his place, and, once alone with Flare, removes his disguise and heals away her ability to use magic, rendering her defenseless and unable to walk. After repeatedly breaking then healing her fingers, Keyaru rapes Flare before he heals her in order to alter her appearance and memories. After healing a dead bodyguard's face to look like Flare, Keyaru frames Leonard before he escapes with the real Flare, tricking the entire kingdom into thinking that Flare was murdered. Keyaru decides to target his other abusers, Bullet and Blade, before seeking out the demon lord he previously defeated to find out what she had been trying to protect when she died. With Flare now an amnesiac, Keyaru renames her Freya, convinces her she is his servant and lover while he changes his face and takes the hero named Keyaru the healer, leaving his weak name Keyaru behind. The two then have sex and Freya, despite not being able to remember her past, pledges allegiance to Keyaru. Keyaru decides he and Freya must leave the city. However, he also learns that Norn, Flare's younger, strategist, and sadistic sister, is returning to the city, having left sometime prior to Keyaru's arrival in the kingdom, and he is determined to avoid her. Keyaru has a nightmare of his previous life. Every night, Flare would force him to pleasure her. Second, the sword heroine, Blade, would beat him for touching Flare before sexually assaulting him since she could not sleep with Flare herself. Finally, Bullet, the gun hero, would violently rape him, claiming to love him before choking him unconscious. They later arrive at La Narita, a lawless city dominated by criminals who prey on the poor. With halcyon eye, Keyaru detects the town's water is contaminated, making whoever drinks it sick. Using his own antibodies, Keyaru creates a cure from his blood and sells it to a merchant, promising to continue making more in exchange for half the profits. He next visits a slave trader and purchases a female ice wolf demi-human, noting that her rage has kept her conscious despite being infected and is interested in what will happen once she gets revenge against whoever she hates so much. Keyaru examines the girl's memories and learns she wants revenge against the Keyaru kingdom because they are planning to take her village as slaves. Knowing the girl, Setsuna, has no warrior abilities, Keyaru offers to make her stronger using a skill stolen from another hero, but requires her true name to do it. Setsuna agrees, even though knowing her true name will give him control over her. To prove he can make her stronger, Keyaru has sex with Setsuna. Making their way to Setsuna's village, they find gyro soldiers torturing prisoners. Keyaru disguises himself as a sword hero and kills them while Freya gives him covering fire. Setsuna gets revenge by killing the soldier who enslaved her. Afterward, Keyaru shows Setsuna that the ice wolves poisoned the water and gives her a choice, either make the poison strong enough to kill every human in Lanarita or replace the poison with medicine. Setsuna chooses the medicine. They have sex again and Setsuna willingly tells Keyaru her true name. In Gyro, Norn returns and reveals that Keyaru altered Leonard's face to look like him to cover up his escape. Believing that Flare was murdered, Praum orders Leonard to find the real Keyaru. After Keyaru has sex with both Freya and Setsuna, they return to Lanarita where the merchant attempts to force Keyaru to reveal the formula for the cure so he can get the profits alone. Keyaru gives him a fake formula, pointing out to his companions that with the contaminated water cured, the illness will go away anyway. Kureha appears and challenges him, believing that he attacked the gyro soldiers at Setsuna's village unprovoked, unaware of what the soldiers were really doing. Freya tries to help, but is quickly overpowered. After a grand sword battle, Keyaru douses her with an aphrodisiac, which she overcomes by stabbing her own leg, and then, after she slices his arm off, regenerates his arm and heals her mind to share the memories of the soldiers' atrocities against Setsuna's village, causing her to pass out. When she wakes up, he reveals he is Keyaru, the one who healed her arm, then brings in Freya whom he told to pretend to be Flare in order to convince her that he is telling the truth. Flare tells Kureha that Gyro is corrupt and Keyaru faked her death to save her life after Leonard found out about their scheme to expose Gyro's crimes, making Kureha realize that she was fighting on the wrong side. Struck with remorse over her mistake and exposed to the aphrodisiac again, Kureha offers her body and they have sex. She falls in love with him and he gloats that she will now do whatever he says. Meanwhile, Leonard is on their trail. Freya and Setsuna become increasingly jealous of Keyaru and Kureha's relationship. The group learns troops led by Leonard have captured the inhabitants of Keyaru's village. Keyaru sends Kureha to investigate, then disguises himself and infiltrates Leonard's squad. When he learns Leonard had tortured and raped his childhood friend, Anna, an enraged Keyaru captures Leonard and transforms him into a woman before having his brainwashed squad gang rape him, then kills them all by setting the room on fire. Keyaru finds Anna and tries to heal her, but she succumbs to her injuries. Distraught, Keyaru has sex with Freya and Setsuna for solace. Kureha returns and reports that the villagers will be publicly executed for supporting the recovery hero and that Norn has returned from abroad. Keyaru is wary of Norn as he remembers how she was more competent and manipulative than Flare. When the public execution begins, Keyaru reveals himself to save his villagers. Keyaru begins to slaughter the executioners and does not stop even when they start killing the villagers. The executioners try to use a magical barrier to drain his strength, but Freya reverses the effect. Keyaru learns the villagers were fed poison earlier so they were already dying, he is only able to save one boy. Freya reveals herself, pretending to be Flare, and reveals the corruption in Gyro, causing the audience to turn on the executioners and kill them. Aware the boy blames him for everything that happened to the village, Keyaru tells the merchant to care for him. Kureha leaves to continue spying on the kingdom and warns him that Norn and her army are headed for the city of Branica. Keyaru notes that Norn never went to Branica in his first life. Meanwhile, Norn learns that Flare is still alive and is now working with Keyaru. Keyaru decides to go to Branica as well because the demon lord will be there and he wants to meet her again. Along the way, they make camp and Keyaru has sex with Freya and Setsuna. Freya says she will kill anyone who stands in his way, causing Keyaru to realize that excluding her devotion to him, her personality is not that different from Flair's. Freya's incredible power causes her magic staves to eventually break, so Keyaru decides they will one day have to acquire divine weapons that can handle it. The party arrives at Branica where humans and other races live in harmony unlike in other places. At a restaurant, they meet Eve Reese, the demon lord whom Keyaru met and defeated in his first life, but she is less powerful and her hair is black instead of silver, unlike he remembered, causing him to realize she is not yet the demon lord. She is a member of the Black-Winged tribe, whom the current demon lord ordered to be eradicated. Bounty hunters attack her and she is hit by a paralyzing arrow, but Keyaru's party rescues and heals her. While hiding out, Keyaru explains to Eve that he met her in the future and she will become the demon lord, offering to protect her until she claims her destiny. She does not believe him but agrees to stay with the group. Later that night, Eve wakes up and is shocked and embarrassed to find Keyaru having sex with Freya and Setsuna right in front of her. Keyaru invites her to join them and taunts her to prove she is a grown-up. Eve turns down Keyaru's offer, but he, Freya, and Setsuna scold her. Keyaru says once she becomes the demon lord, he wants the Philosopher's Stone and for her to secure peace between humans and demons. While discussing their combat capabilities, Eve explains she can summon the legendary, disease-spreading bird, Caladrius, but she will have to endure several trials, including traveling all around the world, to make it obey her. Keyaru disguises himself and scouts the city, but a bounty hunter recognizes him due to his scent, forcing Keyaru to kill him. Keyaru returns and has sex with Freya and Setsuna. Embarrassed, Eve leaves the room, but, aroused, listens and masturbates, so Keyaru notes it is only a matter of time before she gives in to his advances. Keyaru and Setsuna track down the bounty hunters and massacre them. As payback for them destroying the restaurant, they leave the survivors in a pit to be devoured by a beast. Freya buys a magic staff and Keyaru improves it. When he improves the other staves in the store, the owner gives him some money back and a mithril sword. Keyaru is furious when Norn, her army, and Blade arrive in Branica. Keyaru retreats when he notices Norn and Blade are accompanied by a powerful knight named Hawkeye. That night, Blade rapes and tortures a girl. Keyaru sells some potions to Carmen, the store owner, who warns him about the girl's fate. After having sex with Freya and Setsuna, Keyaru decides to use himself as bait, transforming into a woman named Kira and then changing into a dress. At a pub, Blade is enticed by Kira and offers her a drink. Blade transfers a sleeping potion via a kiss and Kira pretends to pass out. While Blade carries her to her hotel, the father of the girl whom Blade raped attacks her, forcing Kira to knock him out to save his life and then fight Blade. However, Blade's sword, Ragnarok, enhances her strength and allows her to heal from injuries. Kira is knocked out cold and later wakes up tied to Blade's bed, where she pretends to be helpless. Blade prepares to rape her, but is horrified to discover Kira has a penis. Kira breaks her bonds and stabs Blade with a poison dagger. Blade attempts to grab Ragnarok to heal herself, but is stabbed again and passes out. Kira declares it is time for revenge. Kira reads Blade's memories and learns Norn plans to attack Branica in 3 days. After paralyzing Blade's legs, she has 3 brainwashed men gang rape her. The men then kill and eat her, causing Ragnarok to revert to a gem. After reverting to his true form, Keyaru meets Trist Organ, aka Hawkeye, who is a gyro knight with powerful skills. Hawkeye is impressed by the potions he sold to Carmen and invites him to join his army, but he declines. Realizing Hawkeye is too powerful for him, Keyaru connects with the gem to form a new weapon. It transforms into a clawed gauntlet called Georges that can heal the user's injuries. Keyaru celebrates by having sex with Freya and Setsuna while Eve masturbates in the room this time. On the third day, Norn becomes tired of searching for Blade and dismisses her as worthless. Accusing the demons of Branica of brainwashing humans into accepting them, Norn commands her army to kill everyone. Keyaru is furious when Carmen is killed and begins to slaughter the soldiers. Norn and Hawkeye are shocked and Freya, pretending to be Flare, projects a giant hologram of herself in the sky. Freya says non-humans are not the enemy and asks the soldiers to stand down, which they do. As Norn and Hawkeye express confusion, Keyaru breaks in and battles Hawkeye. Despite being equally matched, Keyaru successfully kills him, then knocks out Norn and imprisons her in an underground cellar. Afterward, he reads her memories and learns she was responsible for Leonard attacking his village. When she wakes up, he expresses his anger towards her for the destruction of his village and the deaths of his friends. He drugs Freya into acting like a dog, then promises if she can withstand Freya licking her without orgasming until morning, he will release her. Norn fails the challenge, so he and Freya rape her. He then erases and alters Norn's memories and appearance and turns her into Ellen, his little sister who is in love with him, and turns Freya back to normal. Kureha arrives and Keyaru introduces Ellen. Keyaru has sex with Freya, Setsuna, Ellen, and Kureha while Eve masturbates. He decides his party will travel until they can help Eve tame Caladrius, but pauses to lay flowers on Carmen's grave, saying he avenged him and Anna. With Gyral now in disarray following Leonard, Blade, and Hawkeye's deaths and Flare and Norn's supposed murders, a vengeful Praum assigns Bullet to stop Keyaru, and Bullet is eager to rape him again. Keyaru realizes he is starting to care for his girls, but decides he will never know peace until he gets revenge on Bullet and put an end to Gyral's tyranny.